Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So tonight's video, I want to react to a video that I saw a few days ago. I didn't know who this guy was until really recently. Um, And so I saw this video he put up a couple of days ago, and then somebody else reviewed it. And I says, okay, definitely have to talk about this. I wanted to not only react to his video, but I also wanted to just share some more details. You know, uh, he has a YouTube channel, it's pretty popular. I note that he has, according to what he said, he has a Patreon channel. I didn't check out the video on Patreon. I just watched about 3 minutes of his video. I says that's good enough that I wanted to, record a response, a reaction, just to give a few more details, to how I see what the points that he was making. So anyway, today's video: Black American women party in Rio de Janeiro. Have fun, but this ain't the place for you to find a man, and here's why. Now, we know for a while now, I don't know, maybe a couple of years. I mean, the flow to Brazil among African American males has been steadily growing over the last few decades. I started visiting Brazil in August, late August of 2000. And, my involvement with Brazil has been almost 25 years now. So a lot of things I've seen, a lot of things I've participated in. I've been to numerous states and cities across the country. I wouldn't trade my experience in Brazil for anything. And I always like to hear what other people have to say about their own experiences. I would never consider myself to be a passport bro because, my journey into Brazil started way before this idea of going overseas to find, a woman that you could spend your life with or whatever. Um, my objective of going to Brazil was the culture. I wanted to understand the differences and the similarities of another group of African descendants and how they turned out in another country in the Americas. I've spent many years traveling back and forth to Brazil, and then in 2000 and what's that 2012, I ended up moving to Brazil. I moved to Sao Paulo, and I lived there from 2012 to 2021 before I came back to the States. So, I got my own experiences there, a lot I could talk about. But today's video, I want to really speak on this topic that this guy brought up because it immediately comes to mind this whole debate that's been going on for a couple of years now about the so-called passport bro movement. Um, you know, African American males and females have been just taking jabs at each other for a few years in this growing divide within the community. So I'm not going to spend the whole video talking about that, but it is going to, play a part into what I'm going to talk about because along the way, there's been this attitude among Black American women like, hey, we can be passport sisters. We can do the same thing that y'all do. And I'm like, well, it doesn't quite work that way. And there's really a couple of reasons as to why, I see it that way. I talked about this, I guess it was, I don't know if it was earlier this year. I think it was earlier last year when one of the dudes, I don't know if he considers himself a passport bro, but I remember he got into a world of trouble when Brazilian women accused him of, participating in what we'll call sex tourism. It's hard to believe it's been almost 2 years that happened, but I made a couple of response videos back then. This is not necessarily a response, but it is in some ways because I'm coming back to the same topic again. This idea of Black Americans traveling to Brazil. First it was the men. I don't know if this is supposed to be a movement of Black women traveling to Brazil as well. I don't know, or if this was just a group of Black women who just, they decided to meet up in Rio de Janeiro and have some fun. It's a free world. Everybody can do that. But my question is, okay, what is the objective? Is it just going to Brazil to party, have some fun, take in the culture, enjoy the tourist sections of Rio de Janeiro? Because if the idea is something more, then there may be some challenges in terms of, Black American women doing this versus Black American men doing this. And again, it's a free world. Do what you want to do. Just, I've always said, if you're going to get into something, definitely know what you're getting into before you make any type of, life altering decision. So before I get into the video for today, definitely like this video, share this video, consider subscribing to the channel, and click on that notification bell so that you know when I put up new videos. With that said, I'm going to just first get into the video that I'm reacting to. Is by this brother named Skylar. I don't want to butcher his name. Is DeRowan. I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but Skylar, I've seen a couple of his videos now, then a couple of other people reacted to it. So I said, okay, this is a good topic for me to talk about. So let's get into it. I'm going to just introduce his video first, and I'm going to come back and, talk about the bullet points that, I always, the context that I want to put the video in. So let's get directly into the video and see what he had to say before I react to it.
We got some breaking news. The sister girls have invaded Rio de Janeiro. I got some footage that I'm going to show you guys. Okay. I can't give my opinion here on YouTube. I can't say what I really want to say. So if you want a unfiltered raw version of this, go to the Patreon and request it. All right. But not only did they invade Rio, they pulled up to Mabs. They pulled up to Mabs, which is one of my favorite spots. A lot of people give Mabs a bad rep. Okay, but if you've never been to Mabs, you should definitely go. Not only should you go, you should get the hot wings. Hot wings and batatas and fritas. Batata fritas, okay? French fries. That combination is fire. But anyway, I'm just going to play this video, and I want you guys to give me your opinion in the comment section. Just tell me what you think, because like I said, I can't tell you what I think here. All right, let's go. Okay, what do you guys think? I'm not gonna play the video again with sound, but what do you guys think about this? Like I said, I can't give my opinion on it, not here on YouTube, because you guys know, if you know me, you already know where I'm at. But I'm gonna just tell you, I can't say what I want to say, but I can tell you what the Brazilians were saying. Because some buddy of mine was talking to some of the Brazilians in that work there, and not work there, or Brazilians that were just hanging around. And the first question the Brazilians asked, they were like, why are these women, why is there so many overweight women in the United States? That's the first question these Brazilians asked. They was flabbergasted because they never seen this many overweight people and what congregated in one area from one country. So they're like, yo, what's going on? They was like, what's going on? That's what they were saying. And my buddy was like, now you can understand why brothers will leave him. Now, my question is.
Okay, so you heard what Mr. Skylar had to say. I mean, I don't know how many years he's been in Brazil. Like I said, I've only watched a couple of his videos just in maybe the last 2 weeks. And we all have our own view. We're going to come to consensus about certain things that have to do with, living in and visiting Brazil. And then we're going to disagree on certain stuff. I just found this video intriguing when it popped up because I'm like, okay, I talked about this a little bit, maybe in some of my videos last year, but okay, let's take on this topic once again. So I'm calling my video, Black American women party in Rio de Janeiro. Have fun, but this ain't the place for you to find a man. Here's why. So I want to go through some of my bullet points as to why I'm saying this. As we know, it's not just Brazil. There's been a number of places around the world that have become a favorite destination for Black American men traveling overseas. Some of them are traveling just for fun. Some of them are traveling to find the one. I can't speak for all Black American men. As I said, my foray into Brazil was because of the history and the cultural background. It was never my intent to just go to Brazil and say, I'm looking for a woman. I meet people as I go, but that was never my intent when I first started going to Brazil. Black American men seeking an alternative to Black American women. As I said, this ongoing feud between Black American men and women. I don't know. I don't know if people see it or even care, but the division between Black American men and Black American women, it will just impede where we're trying to go as a community. I'm saying I understand some of the arguments of both sides, but it's just really getting out of hand. And I think it's really contributing to more disunity in the community. I mean, even with the upcoming election, we see this division going on. To the point where people are traveling overseas to find a partner, and obviously there's nothing wrong with that. I did that, but we have to ask the question like, okay, what's leading to this division that's going on in the Black American community? This is a discussion that needs to be had. Passport bros and now passport sisters. Like I said, Black American men are going to Brazil, and like I said, if they come down for various reasons, I'm going to just argue that the same rules don't necessarily apply for Black American women coming to Brazil. Why is that? Is Brazil an option for American women seeking men? I guess the answer to that question would be, what are you seeking? If this group of Black American women, I don't know what they were there for, just having fun, just, tourism type stuff. But if they are seeking partnership with men, then that's a whole nother issue. Okay. As you know, we've heard this online for a long time. When you look at how families are created, generally people expect that the man is going to be the one who earns the money in the house. So if that is the case, and a lot of not only Black American men, Black American women, but also just American women in general have raised this standard to say, look, I don't want to date a man if he's not making six figures or more. When we know that the average man in the United States is not actually making six figures. Okay. So then who's going to support the lifestyle this is one thing that I have a problem with American culture, because we sit and watch TVs and movies and all this, and it gives us an impression of this is how we're supposed to live in the United States. And to me, it's a huge trick. You put this in movies and television and everybody thinks this is the way we're supposed to live, when the majority of people, 90 to 93% of people will never get to that type of lifestyle, if not more. It's just kind of like the bling bling era of hip hop. They're promoting a lifestyle that most people don't have and probably will never have. But yet people are raising the bar for their standards, for which the vast majority of people don't fit into that standard. So the problem that I see here, if every American woman is believing that she can't date a man that doesn't make six figures or more, that wipes out most of the dating pool that she's going to have to choose from. I don't know if it's like between 6 to 10% of American men might be in that six-figure boat where they're earning six figures every year. And that number gets smaller once you leave out of the category of particularly Asian men and white men. If you're looking for the six figures among Black men, you're probably at about, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7%. It's slim pickings. So then what happens is that these women ignore all of the so-called, average men. And so then the men who are making those six figures and live in a certain lifestyle, has a certain car, lives in a certain neighborhood, he has the pick of whatever type of woman he wants, because all of these women are ignoring the so-called average men and flocking over to what we call the high value man. So you go and you try to find this high value man, and maybe he's not looking for you. He might take advantage of you. He might spend some time with you for the night, but he's got too many options. And the guys who will give you maybe what you're looking for besides the income, you can make a happy couple, but because he's not making six figures, you walk right over him. And this is just something that people have been saying online for a number of years now. So then my question is, if the average American man is not making six figures, where in the world are you going to go to meet a man who's making six figures in in the US dollar? Okay. You're going to have to go to other countries, and you probably will have to date outside of your race for one thing. I mean, if you go to a European country, right, you're definitely not going to have much of a chance in that in Latin America, specifically if you're looking for black men. Latin America has a lower standard of life in terms of how much income the average person living in Latin America has. And then that's going to get even lower because, as we know, racism exists all across the Americas. When you start looking at studies of Latin America and how it's broken down into white men, black men, brown men, or whatever, and you see the same racial hierarchy going on in all of these Latin American countries. So I would have to ask any Black American woman that's going to Latin America in search of love or companionship or a man for a serious relationship, if you have the standard that you have in the United States and American men are not meeting that standard, there's no way you're going to meet that type of man in another country, particularly in Latin America. Okay. Now, one of the things that popped up in the video that the guy was just talking about, and let me just first say, I don't want to get into this idea of fat shaming because that's not the intent of what I want to say. But Brazilians were speaking on how is it that these women got this big? Why are there so many overweight American women coming to Brazil? And what I've noticed is this: 2024, the level of obesity that we have in the United States, and not just black women, I mean, just Americans in general, America is not what it was in the 90s. When you look at the average size of an American, regardless of race or gender, Americans were much smaller back just 30 years ago. I don't know if anybody watching this video has ever seen the documentary Super Size Me. Everybody should watch that documentary, right? The obesity rates in the United States is they're out of control. I see it every day. When I go down to Detroit, for work, and I just see, again, this is not about fat shaming. I'm just saying we are very big. How did we get this way? What's going on that people are tipping the scale so high these days? So what I want to point out here is that because of the food that we consume in the United States, there's been a number of videos and nutritional experts, people who are studying the food that we eat in the United States, and the food we eat in the United States is just not healthy one way or the other. I mean, people want to narrow it down and just say it's the fault of fast food, but it's just not. There's been numerous videos that I've seen online where people take a particular American product and show the ingredients in the American brand, and then they'll go over to Canada or England or wherever and compare the ingredients and say, why does the American version of this have so many more ingredients than the version in wherever else we're talking about in the world? Why is it that I'm hearing about how Japan won't let cereals, I don't know if it's all American cereals or just certain brands of American cereals, they won't allow those cereals to come into their country and say, we can't feed our people this stuff. I have kids that are in elementary school now, and looking at the school menu when they offer kids food there, I mean, it's like it's trash. I mean, kids are eating just, fast food. They're eating pizza at the school. They always got donuts. They got bagels all the time. And it's not nutritional. It's not a good, healthy diet for kids. And this is what they're serving at the American schools. That's something that I've had to deal with because it was funny because I was talking about this with my kids this morning, how they wanted to go to school because the school was serving pizza today. And I says, in the house, we have one day a week where we have fast food or Chinese food or whatever, but that's one day a week. We're not eating fast food every day. So it's like, you don't need to have this fast food at school, and we're going to have it once a week in the house. So again, when we talk about the obesity rates, it's not a question of fat shaming. It's us taking a better look at the quality of the food that we eat in the United States. The food makes us sick, makes us get chronic illnesses, and in turn, it sends us to get more medical care, which in turn sends us to pharmaceutical companies. And a lot of us are just taking over-the-counter drugs, which leads to the United States spending the most money in the world on the medical industry. So this is all a revolving circle. So whereas I would just look at it before and say, okay, Americans, we're just lazy. That's why we're getting so big. But there's more to it than that. I believe that the food that they're pushing in the system is purposely being created to make us more sick so that it makes more dollars for the medical and pharmaceutical industry. Now, you might disagree with that, but that's the conclusion that I've come to. Look at the ingredients. A lot of people, I've heard people say this, if you can't pronounce something on the ingredients of a back of a package of whatever type of food, then you probably shouldn't be eating it. So this is one of the reasons why the Brazilians were reacting to the American women coming to Brazil. Like, why are these women so big? Now, the other thing, oh, I did an article about this some years ago, just talking about obesity levels have grown in Brazil as well. There's numerous studies out there that show that Brazilians are getting just bigger and bigger. When you go to shopping malls in Brazil, they all have a food court and they'll be just swamped with American fast food restaurants. They got the McDonald's, they got the Burger King, some places got Taco Bell, Wendy's is there, Pizza Hut. All of these fast food places are invading Brazil, and Brazilians are slowly starting to take on eating this fast food that Americans have been consuming for a number of years. And just by coincidence or not by coincidence, Brazilians are getting more and more obese. I'm going to take a look at a few numbers in a minute. So then, if American women are looking for men in Brazil, there's a couple of things that's going against them. Number one, as we see, the obesity rates, Brazilians are not accustomed to seeing people that big. Brazil is a country that prides itself on beauty and beauty standards, even though Brazilian obesity rates are growing. When they see, and you saw from the video, like, okay, there were a lot of overweight women in that video. To us in America, it's like, okay, we've become accustomed to looking like that. But in Brazil, where obesity is slowly growing, but it's not to the point where it is in the United States right now. And it's just like, wow, it's kind of shocking to them. And we've accepted it almost like, what's the problem? This is the way we are. Like, yeah, but how did we get there? The other thing I want to point out here is this question of hypergamy. The idea that a woman wants a man who has higher value than she has herself. And I'm going to show you why that's not going to work if you're an American woman coming to Brazil versus an American man coming to Brazil looking for a woman. It doesn't work the same way. Salary specifically is going to be one of the reasons that's going to deter a lot of American women from getting into relationships with Brazilian men. Then there's the question of palmitagem, which I've talked about a lot over the life of this YouTube channel. Just the white woman in Brazil is the standard of beauty, even if you call her off-white. I've done numerous videos and articles on the blackbraziltoday.com blog talking about how black and white men stampede over other women of color, black or brown women, to get to the white woman. So you have all of these things going against you if you think you're going to Brazil to maybe hook up with a man, because number one, most white men are looking for white women. And two, unfortunately, it seems like with black men, a lot of them also have a standard that says they want to get the woman that's closer to the European standard of beauty. So you have all of these reasons for why I say, hey, go to Rio de Janeiro, have a good time, but you may not be the place you want to go to find a man if you're an American woman. Okay, so let's go through a couple of the links that I have here, just showing here. It says almost half, this article right here, CNN Brazil, almost half of Brazilians will be obese by 2024. It says right now, this is from March of 2024. This is from this year. One of every 4 adults in Brazil is obese. Okay, almost, let's say 24.3%. Then you look at the Wikipedia page of the Global Obesity Observatory list of countries by obesity rate. I'm actually kind of surprised because I thought United States was number 1, but 42.7% puts the United States in number 5 as far as percentage of people considered obese in the world. Cook Islands, I wouldn't know who to thunk it. Anyway, where does Brazil fit on this scale? We got to go down quite a bit to find. Here's Brazil at number 58. This number says 17.5% of the population is supposedly obese. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. These are some of the reasons why I would say, American women, specifically Black American women, might have problems, looking up with a man in Brazil for several reasons. One of them being they're not going to be accustomed to women of that size. Okay, let me look at this one right here. Brazilians are spending money and calories on fast food. Let me see. Consumption of fast food has grown in Brazil and it generates alert about obesity. Another article. Brazilians are spending money and, wasting calories on fast food. I think that picture says it all. Hamburger and pizza. One thing I can say I liked about Brazil is that you can find a lot more natural food in Brazil. Well, in my opinion, You can go to a lot of places. While I was in Sao Paulo, you could just go to any bar and get some fresh squeezed juice, versus the pasteurized stuff, the industrialized stuff that you buy in a supermarket in the United States. Okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? Consumption of fast food in Brazil is growing, and it generates an alert about obesity. Okay. This is from 2023. They're talking about fast food. What else do we have here? Okay. Now I want to talk about income. This is one of the main reasons I believe it'll be difficult for an American woman to settle in Brazil and try to, construct a long-term relationship with a Brazilian man. It's going to come down to money. If American women are rejecting men because they feel like every man is supposed to make six figures, what are they going to do when they get to Brazil? Let me show you something before I even discuss this, because wherever country you go to, there's going to be exchange rate for the currency that you have. Brazil has an advantageous conversion rate from the dollar to the Brazilian real. Look at this. One American dollar. Now, this went down because earlier today it was at 5.65. Now it's 5.61. So you get 5 Brazilian reais and 61 centavos for 1 American dollar. So if you go there with $1,000, now you have 5,600 reais to spend on your vacation. Okay. So, but how does that relate to how the money works in Brazil? Okay. So these are some figures from 2022. There was something here I wanted to particularly point out so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so look right here. Income per hour. White people overcome blacks and browns in every level of education. So the population, the working population of the white race, of people considering themselves white, is 3,200 reais per month, 3,273 to be exact. Then you have, let me see, 64% of what you call Preto and Parda, black and brown people, are earning 1,994 per month. Men are earning 2,800 per month, which is 27% more than women at 2,200%, 2,200 reais per month. White women at 2,858 per month they make more money than black or brown men at 2,230. So what you have to figure out here, this tells it all. It's actually less than this, but I'm just going to give you an estimate. So if a white person is making 3,200 reais per month, they're making a little bit more than, maybe a little bit less than 600, maybe 500 some US dollars per month. So then figure that if you divide this by 5, we're talking about what, maybe $350 to $400 per month for black or brown people. So I'm talking about per month. I'm not talking about per day. I'm not talking about per week. When you convert the money of the real to the US dollar, this is what Brazilians are earning every month. Where do you think you're going to get by making $600 a month? Where are you going to get by making $400 a month? This money is in reais. And remember, again, $1 is worth 5.5 reais. So here these people are living on between $350 and $400 per month. Now, you're trying to find a man in Brazil and you're rejecting a man in the US that doesn't make six figures. What you're going to do with a person who's making $300, $400, $500, $600 per month? It's not going to work. Unless you're going to go there, you have your own money, and you decide to settle in Brazil, and you're going to bring your own money and support the family. Because going to Brazil and trying to find a man that's making six figures, $100,000, that's 550,000 reais per year. Good luck with that. So this is one of the reasons why I say it would never work. Worse than that, on the bottom of the poll is black women who earn 47% of the average salary of the Brazilian population. 47%. So what are black women earning? Black women in Brazil are earning about 1,582 reais per month. That's about $300 a month. 300 US dollars. So before you think about moving to Brazil, you need to understand how these stats work. If you're looking for a high value man, Brazil has high value men, but they're just between 1% and 5% of the population. If you think you're going to go there and you're going to land one of those men, maybe you are the one, but I'm telling you, these are things you need to look out for before you think you're going to go to Brazil and get down with a Brazilian man, because this is what they're earning. Brazil counts its salaries according to the month. In United States, we tend to look at, our income by the year. How much do you make per year? How much do you make per month? How much you make per week? Brazilians count their salary according to how much you make per month. So the minimum wage in Brazil is 1,400 Brazilian reais per month, which comes down to about $265 a month. Most of the population, a large percentage of the population, is living on one minimum salary. Again, 1,400 reais, $265 a month. Who's going to live on that? That's what the average person in Brazil is making. Okay. Now, if you want to get into the higher level of men who earn, higher salary, less than 1% of those living in Brazil make 20 minimum salaries per month. Let that sit in for a minute. 1%. And if we're saying that's about, okay, let me look at the minimum salary again. We're looking at 1,400 reais 20 times. So we're looking at about about 28,000 reais per month, which is a little bit more than maybe maybe 5,500 to $6,000 per month. 1% of the population is earning that. And of those that are earning that salary, 77% are white people. Okay. So you go down to Brazil looking for a man, the man who's in that top 1%, what are you going to be offering him? He already has the pick of the litter of whatever women he wants to have. So what are you going to offer if you're going to Brazil and you're trying to find one of these men who are part of the top 1% of what they earn in Brazil? The top 1% earners, we'll say in Brazil. 90% of all Brazilians earn less than 3,500 reais per month. 3,500 reais a month, that's a little less than what? $700 per month? Somewhere between $600 and $700 a month. 90% of Brazilians earn between $600 and $700 a month. Okay. What kind of lifestyle are you going to live on that type of salary if you think you're going to go to Brazil and get down with a man who's making a lot of money? Because, they're few and far between. And those men have a lot of choices. Let's look at another stat. 90% of Brazilians make less than 3,500 reais a month. That's what I said, somewhere between $600 and $700 per month. Okay. And then what I said about hypergamy. Okay. Let me see. The supposed tendency for women to seek husbands who are higher status than themselves. If you're a woman in the United States who earns even $40,000 a year, you're not going to find a man in Brazil who's making that. The man who's making that in Brazil is already part of the elite club, because $40,000 a year is more than 200,000 reais per year, 200 to 250,000 reais per year. And though, like I said, most of those men are not going to be looking for whatever it is that American women are bringing there. But you don't have to take my word for it. But these are what the numbers are saying. As I said, if you're going to Brazil just for vacation purposes or to check out a new culture or to just check out a new country, that's one thing. But if you're going to get down, you want to have find a long-term relationship with a man, it's going to be a little bit more difficult if you're accustomed to the standard of living that you have or you want to have better. I've known a number of American women who have gone to Brazil and been disappointed when they tried to date Brazilian men, because their pockets simply are not deep enough to support the lifestyle that you think you want to be accustomed to, and again, I've known women who have gone after these high money earners in Brazil, and it usually doesn't work out because these men have plenty of options. What are you bringing to the table that's going to attract this man, right? You're drawing from a very small pool of men, and the average man in Brazil is not going to be able to support the lifestyle that you're expecting as an American woman. So then look at the salary in the United States. These are breaking down by gender and race. So you have Black American men earning about 51,000 a year, 48.6 for women. And these are the stats for whites. Asian people actually make the most money in the United States. We always make the comparison with white. But $50,000 in Brazil is about 250, I don't know, 200, somewhere between 250, 300,000 reais per year. If you were to make this type of money in Brazil, you'd be living high on the hog. But what I'm saying is, you're not going to find a man who's making that type of salary in Brazil because, first of all, like I said, the conversion between the dollar and the real is not going to cut it. So then when you want to look and see if you can find this high value man in Brazil, particularly if he's Black, you're going to have a problem trying to find this. I think it was a study that I did some years ago. I think like Black Fortune 500 companies, CEOs, I don't know, somewhere between 3 and 7%, might be about 5%. Very small percentage of Black males, and that's including Black and brown, who are at the executive level that's making that type of money. Very slim pickings. You think you got it slim in the US, try it in Brazil. Now, I want to point out this stat right here because this is something else that I was talking about. This sociologist, Pedro Jaime G. Coelho, he did a study of Black Brazilian male executives in the city of Sao Paulo. Now, already, as I said, the small percentage of Black male executives, it's already small as it is. And he found that out of the 50 executives who participated in his research, I can't remember if it was 48 or 49 of the Black men executives that he interviewed. 48 or 49 out of the 50 were married to white women. So not only are you going to compete for the resources that this man has, but he's also more likely to marry a white woman in Brazil. It's just a fact. Okay. So not telling anybody not to go to Brazil. This is another article just talking about, the experiences of black male executives in Brazil. Some years ago, they were showing that there was only one black female executive of a Fortune 500 company in Brazil. There was only one. So, black Brazilians are starting to ascend socially, but I just wanted to make this video to give a little bit more of a reality check if it's a case where black American women are trying to come to Brazil to find a mate or partner. It's much easier for a black male to do that because a black male is more willing to say, okay, I don't care if this woman works at McDonald's. I don't care if she doesn't make that much money. I'm not into her for how much money that she makes. Black men and men in general are not going to have that standard that a woman has to make X amount of dollars. But when hypergamy sets in and women in general, specifically black women, say, I have a standard, I don't want a man making less than this money, you're better off not trying to find that type of man in Brazil, because there's few and far in between who's going to be able to support the aspirations you have for whatever lifestyle you're seeking to have. So anyway, just that's what I wanted to talk about in today's video. Black American women coming to Brazil to party. Cool to be, cool to have a good time. Have some feijoada, have a caipirinha, eat a couple of coxinhas while you're there, vatapá, have some fun, enjoy the culture. But this ain't the place if you're there to try to find a man who you're going to be in a long-term relationship with. That's just my view. Prove me wrong. Anyway, want to know what you thought about today's video. Drop a comment in the comment section. Like this video, share this video. Consider subscribing to the channel and clicking on that notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. With that said, I'm going to end this video here and request that you all come back. Check out the next video that I post here at Black Brazil Today.